I think that some people, a lot of people, struggle with looking at where they went wrong in a particular situation and how they got themselves into that problem that they have, right? And it could be because of insecurities. A lot of times it's just ego and pride. It's not being able to sit with the discomfort of realizing that you did this to yourself, right? And this is something that I struggled with. I used to never look within. I used to always look outside of myself. And if I had a problem in my life, if I was broke or if I was overweight, fat, for instance, because I was 340 pounds, if I hated my job, it was always because of something else. It was never because of me, right? The reason why I was fat wasn't because, I just make poor eating habits or poor eating decisions. It was more so because, well, the world is just so stressful, right? So the excuse is outside of me. The reason why I hated my job, it's not because, I just am too lazy to go and look for another job. It's because my coworkers and management, they just hate me and they have it out for me, right? And that could be true. It's possible, but I didn't have to stay there. Okay, I could have left. If I'm broke, it's not because I have poor spending habits and I'm living above my means. Oh, no, no, no. It's because the system is set up for me to fail, right? It was always something in someone else. It was never me that put me in the situations that I was in, right? But there is so much power in stepping outside of that, okay? When you realize that most of the problems that you have is because of the decisions that you make, well, now you're giving yourself the power to fix it, right? I used to do this a lot in relationships. In my younger years, I used to say, I don't understand why toxic men love me. No, I love toxic men. You know what I mean? Like the signs were there, the red flags were there. They were right in front of my face, and I still chose to ignore them, look beyond them, and say, "Oh, well, he didn't mean it," or "Oh, it's not that bad." No, he did mean it, and it was that bad. But those were decisions that I made. You would get a lot further in life if you stopped making excuses, number one, and then two, you realize you are the common denominator in your own life. Okay, I firmly believe that the life we live is the direct correlation of the decisions that we make. The reason why I was able to lose 100 pounds was because I made the decision to eat less food and move my body more. The reason why I have a successful business today is because I made the decision every day to show up and pour into my business, even when I didn't feel like it, to create the content, to work on the product, to learn more, whatever it is, so that I could have the business that I have now, right? The reason why I have the confidence that I have today is because every single day I work towards my goals. Every single day I show up and I do the actions that align with where I want my life to be, which builds confidence because I'm keeping the promises that I make to myself, right? It's not someone else's fault. Okay, we can play the victim Olympics, we can play the blame game all day, but that doesn't get you anywhere. And I've been wanting to make this type of video for a while, but unfortunately, I feel like a lot of people are just not in the headspace to recognize that they're the reason why they're where they're at. And again, there's nuances to this. I'm not talking about, if you're diagnosed with something health wise, if you got laid off from your job, of course, there's going to be nuances. But most of the time, the reason why you're in the predicament that you're in is because of the decisions that you make. But what if you just made better decisions? If that was true, if you start to take responsibility for your life and you start to hold yourself accountable for the decisions that you make, what would happen if you just decided to make a better decision today? If you want to lose weight, what if instead of going to eat fast food today, you just decide to cook at home? What if you just decide to eat a salad? What if you just decide to drink water instead of soda? Just imagine where you would be in a month from now if you just made the decision every single day. If every single day you say, you know what, I'm going to walk 5K steps today, or I'm going to walk 10K steps. So you know what, I'm going to finally use that gym membership that I've been paying for since January and I've only gone twice. Just imagine what kind of progress you would make in a month. Just imagine how you would feel about yourself in 2 weeks And we know time moves quickly, so don't act like you don't know that. Time is moving fast, quick, and in a hurry. You have way more control over your life than you give yourself credit for, right? And this isn't me bashing you, talking down on you, judging you. I've been there, okay? I've made a lot of bad decisions. I've also made a lot of good ones. But the only reason I made good ones was because I started to realize that I have control over my life, right? I can create whatever life I want. And it's crazy because I will never forget. I tell the story all the time. I remember this was probably back in 2018, 2019. I was pretty much on my way out the door of my 9 to 5 that I hated so much. And my 9 to 5, it was an office building, and that particular office building sat right off of the 95 highway. I live on the East Coast, right? And so there was a particular computer that I used to love to work at. I worked in a lab, so if we were doing computer work, it was really like data entry, like plugging in patient information, patient testing results, stuff like that. And there was this one computer I loved to sit at because it literally was right in front of the window, huge floor to ceiling windows, by the way. And I could see the city from that window. And I could see the highway exits and the cars driving by. It made me feel free in a sense. It was just that particular computer that I loved. And so I would always sit there. And I remember like in 2018, 2019, I was like, one day I'm going to work for myself. One day, because I used to work 9 to 5, right? And so there would be cars on the road, but it'd only be a few because most people at that time would be at work. Now, when you go outside and you drive around, the road is full and it's a Wednesday. And I'm like, why are you not at work? Right? But back then, before COVID, after around 9 o'clock, after around 10 a.m., no one was really on the road because everybody was at work. Okay. So I remember sitting in front of that window and only a few cars would drive by because everyone's at work. And I'd be like, one day, that's going to be me. It's going to be a random Tuesday afternoon, 1 o'clock, and I'm going to be riding on 95 because I can. I'm not rushing to work. I work for myself, and I'm going to just do what I want to do when I want to do it. I had no clue that I was going to end up running an online business. I had no clue, but I just knew that that was going to be me. And here we are in 2026, and I have the freedom to drive anywhere I want at any time on any day because I'm not pressed about somebody's time clock. This is what I mean by you can truly create whatever life you want. And when you finally stop being hard-headed and you let go of the ego and you let go of the pride and you let go of the insecurities and you realize that you have way more control of your life than you give yourself credit for, you can create the life you want to. If you want that type of life, you can have it too. You can have it too. And in order to get it, you just have to make the decision every day that whatever you do for that day is either going to get you closer to the life that you want or it's going to pull you further away. But you can have it. But you also have to recognize that if you're not happy at the job that you have, if you're not happy with the money that you make or, your finances, if you're not happy with your health and your body and your obesity, your overweight, whatever it is you're struggling with, if you're not happy with that, ask yourself, what role did I play in this situation? And don't sit there and say nothing because 9 times out of 10, that's not true. That's a cope. But once you realize what role you played in that, well, now you're giving yourself the power to fix it. And you're allowing yourself the opportunity to do better so that you can finally live the life that you've always wanted to live. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. I cannot wait to read what you have to say. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Do not forget to join the Patreon. The link is down below in my description. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.